The border crisis and cancel culture destroying the Democrats as populism surges under Biden. In this video, we're going to take a look at the unwitting effects of both the border crisis and cancel culture, how the two dynamics are combining to completely undermine Biden and the Democrats, and how a new PATRIOT movement is surging beyond anything the Democrats ever imagined in their worst nightmares. You are not going to want to miss this. Greetings, everyone. Dr. Steve here with you. Wonderful to be with you as always. Hope you're having a great start to your week. We're here to give you each and every single day conservative hope in the midst of these turbulent times, helping to think better so you can feel better and provide for you a patriot path to freedom. So make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. Before we dive in here, let's make sure to click on that link below and head on over to my special website for my Patriot food supplies. We saw with the whole insane pandemic nonsense we've been in, we cannot wait for an emergency to happen before we respond to one. And no one makes preparing for an emergency more ridiculously easy and affordable than my Patriot Supply. Gang, they are simply the best. Their food kits last up to 25 years in storage. Those food kits, they include breakfasts, lunches, and dinners. And if you act now, you can save $50 off a full 4-week emergency food supply when you click on that link below to my special website. So do not wait. I've got my food supply. Make sure you get yours. Click on that link below or go to preparewithsteve.com and save $50 off your very own 4-week emergency food supply today. All right, gang, let's dive right in here. The Democrats are getting nervous. They're definitely getting nervous. And, they should be. Even the radical left mainstream Marxist media is having to admit that as every new day passes, Biden and the Democrats are getting more and more slammed for the completely unjustifiable crisis at our southern border. It's Republicans, not Democrats. No, it's Republicans that are showing up in droves at the border and getting their pictures taken against the backdrop of this total and complete chaos brought to you by the Democrats. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy was the last Republican to visit the southern border, saying, quote, "There is no other way to claim it than a Biden border crisis." This is a Biden border crisis, and it's horrific. And the American people are increasingly horrified by it. Look at this from Rasmussen. 73%, 3 in 4 likely voters, are concerned about the flood of migrants at the U.S.-Mexico border. 48% are very concerned. 51% of likely voters oppose giving them amnesty of any kind. So make no mistake, this is becoming Biden's Iraq or his Hurricane Katrina or whatever. It's a nonstop political disaster of his own making. To make matters even worse, Fox News is reporting that criminal organizations trafficking women, children, families, and single adults over the U.S.-Mexico border have earned as much as $14 million a day in February. This is according to Border Patrol sources. It turns out that human trafficking is a multi-billion-dollar industry brought to you by Biden and the Democrats. And if that wasn't bad enough, as it turns out, the crisis at our southern border is costing the U.S. taxpayer $5 million a day. It's about $800 per migrant. And Biden just awarded an $86 million contract for hotel rooms to hold 1,200 migrant families as the crisis has exceeded the ICE holding facilities capacity. President Trump wasted no time in slamming Biden's willful abdication of his law enforcement responsibilities at the border, saying that Biden turned what had become a national triumph in border security under his administration into a national disaster. And the fact that Trump is coming out and slamming Biden points to a larger issue going on here. You see, it's not just the number of illegal immigrants that's surging, it's also populist sentiments. Time magazine had a fascinating article on how the Biden administration is actually contributing to a massive surge in patriotic, nationalist populist sentiment that the leftists, disguised as journalists at time, call far-right extremism, insurrection. But they recognize that not only is there little that Biden can do to stop the rise of patriotic populism in the nation, far from being able to stop it, Biden, in many ways, is the cause and the occasion for its rise. And again, we have studies on this, on how unfettered immigration, particularly illegal immigration, is one of the major contributors to the rise in nationalist populist sentiment around the world. So, for example, a survey by the Chatham House found that while 57% of elites believed immigration was good for Britain, only 25% of the British public felt the same way. Now, that's a massive gap in sentiment between our globalist elites, the permanent political class all over the world, and the people, the tax-paying citizens. In fact, elites in Britain were twice as likely to reject the notion that immigration increases crime or puts a strain on the welfare system than the general public does. So another Chatham House study found that 55% of people across 10 European nations agreed that all further immigration from Muslim states should be stopped. The highest stats coming from Austria, Hungary, and Poland. Open borders are guaranteeing a surge in patriotic populist sentiment. It's not just open borders. As it turns out, far-left cancel culture is awakening populist sentiments as well. You probably saw this over the weekend, but Bill Maher on his show Real Time likened cancel culture to Stalinism. Look at what he said, quote, "I never thought I would live in an era. I remember watching movies about the 50s and the blacklist era when people would whisper that you're a communist, and all it took was somebody informing on you and saying they saw you at a rally or some peace march and you were branded and your career was over and you were on the blacklist." And he used as his example the musician Winston Marshall, who plays guitar for the British folk group Mumford & Sons. And Marshall tweeted out that he really liked Andy Ngo's new book, Unmasked, right? Exposing the inner workings of Antifa. We had Andy on our live Q&A a few weeks back, talking to our members and fielding their questions like we did with Sebastian Corca last Thursday. And by the way, you can join our Insiders Club by simply clicking on that link below and have access to these amazing patriots from all over the world. But Bill Maher had pointed out that right after Marshall tweeted out how much he enjoyed Andy's book, he immediately got canceled. He had to leave the band because of the backlash he got from the cancel culture cry bullies in Twitterverse. And this is why I can't wait until Trump launches his new social media platform. We just did a video on it. It's going to be absolutely amazing. And so Maher responded incredulously saying, quote, "This guy tweeted out that he liked a freaking book. It's a book called Unmasked. I never heard of it. You never heard of it. It's apparently not favorable to Antifa, so it's criticizing Antifa, okay? People write books." He tweeted out, "Finally had the time to read your important book. You're a brave man," he tweeted out directly to Andy Ngo. Now, he was to step away from the band as a result, and this is his apology, again, so Soviet. "Over the past few days, I have come to fully understand the pain caused by the book I endorsed." And Maher just said incredulously, "It is so Stalinist." We saw it with Piers Morgan. We saw it with Elon Musk. Woke cancel culture is starting to freak even leftists out. Andrew Sullivan, the leftist blogger and media contributor, he blasted the mainstream media over the weekend, particularly the Washington Post, for their coverage of the Atlanta shootings, pushing their ridiculous anti-Asian hate crime narrative. And that's how Sullivan put it. The mainstream media doesn't push news anymore. They push narrative. It's now far left narrative over fact-based news. And so you're seeing more and more liberals beginning to walk away from the woke left. And while they're not becoming Republicans, they are certainly becoming populists. Now, before we get into that, I want to give you a free gift. Make sure to click on that link down below and download your own fake news antidote. My, do we not need that now? It's an updated version of our compilation of over 30 alternative news sites that I go to for my news each and every single day. They're all conservative. They all celebrate Trump and patriotism and nationalist populism. And boy, do we need these news resources now more than ever. So you can download your own copy of our updated fake news antidote completely free at the link down below in the pinned comment section, and have a ready list of your go-to sites that you'll definitely enjoy and will inspire you through these trying times. And it's yours absolutely free by simply clicking on the link below. It is my gift to you. All right, so I think the way open borders and woke cancel culture are combining to foment the surge in populist sentiment can be best understood in relation to something scholars call resentment politics, okay? Scholars have noted that for centuries, all right, our political elites for centuries have feared resentment because they worried that once it reached a critical mass among the people, it could lead to rebellion. And so what they tended to do, and we see this going all the way back to, the political rhetoric of classical Athens and Rome, what these leaders tend to do is foster an internal unity among the people, the citizens, by creating a specter of a hostile and unreasonable external enemy. And of course, external threats tend to breed internal solidarity. What scholars have noted is that since the 1960s, our politicians, instead of focusing on an external enemy to breed internal solidarity, they started focusing instead on an internal enemy. In other words, our political class found that they could benefit even more if they divided the nation by focusing on an enemy from within. And they turned their attention away from an external threat and instead began focusing on internal threats, which transformed resentment into a tool for dividing the populace and diffusing resistance. So the Democrats have been masters at turning what were once considered external threats, like illegal immigration, invasion, right? They've turned them now into victims, while at the same time, they've demonized their political opponents internally in the United States as racists and bigots and homophobes and misogynists worthy of being canceled. So legal citizens are being kicked out, their careers, their social media platforms and the like, all the while illegal immigrants are being welcomed in. And make absolutely no mistake, this is nothing short of a recipe for disaster for Biden and the Democrats. Because as we're finding, resentment politics works in two directions. And this is what made Trump so awesome. Trump and the growing populist patriot movement as a whole effectively have turned resentment politics in and on itself. The political class is now the legitimate object of disdain. The political animosity today is now more and more between the people versus the political class, the ruled versus the rulers, nationalists versus globalists. For a growing number of people, open borders and woke cancel culture are awakening a powerful and profound resentment against the permanent political class. With every act of absurd wokeness, this resentment promises to be far more inclusive and far more powerful than anything the woke political class can withstand. Now, before you go, make sure to like this video, comment down below, and subscribe to my channel. And definitely check out, click on the link and check out our awesome merch site. And definitely also want to check out my latest video I just uploaded. It's on how President Trump is about to get his revenge on big tech oligarchs. He's starting his own social media platform that promises to be an absolute game changer like we've never seen. You're not going to want to miss it. So make sure to click on the link, and I will see you over there. God bless.